I, 27 male, found out that my 26 female wife cheated on me with my father, 56M, and got pregnant. My father was a decent man while I was growing up, but my grandmother died when I was approximately 12 years old. He didn't take it well and became a miserable alcoholic, squandering all of his money on liquor and rum. He was dismissed from his job because he would seldom show up for work, and my mother became so fed up with him that she offered him a month to clean up his act or he would be fired. He did, and my mother evicted him. I always felt awful for him since he had lost his mother, career and family for him, and I tried phoning him but he never answered. He hadn't been in my life for 14 years, and I attempted to contact him, but he had probably changed his phone number, so we never met. Fast forward to approximately February of this year, when I get a phone call from an unknown number. It turns out to be my father, and he wants to go to a park and simply chat to me. I agreed. And the following day, we had a lengthy discussion about everything we'd done over the previous 14 years. I gained some closure, and I remembered how I felt about him before his mother died. He lived in another country and put his life in order so that when he returned, my mother and I wouldn't be so hostile to him. I'm not sure he needed 14 years, but I digress. My mother is with her ailing mother and won't be returning for an unknown period of time, so I gave him a place to stay at my home as long as he could pay for his own utilities. We were trying to save up money to have a kid later on. When I returned him, my wife Sarah was first averse to the idea, but she relaxed when he explained that he would be paying for what he uses. Their connection was tough at first, but they warmed up to one another, and now that I think about it, there were some warning signs, such as when I asked them what was so amusing. They would say nothing and continue their jokes. I also observed that my wife was becoming less intimate with me, and that if I tried to initiate things, she was in pain, tired, or on her period. Fast forward a few weeks, I worked a double shift and arrived home fatigued, but when I opened the door, my father was balls deep in Sarah. I was very enraged, as if it were the first time I had wished to physically harm a lady. When I turned back, they yelled my name and said they wanted to speak to me, but I ignored them and drove over to my buddy Michael's place. I phoned my job and told her I wouldn't be able to come to work because of a family emergency, and she agreed to let me remain at Michael's place for nearly a week. It was over there that I sobbed uncontrollably. My heart felt like it had been torn from my chest. I despised my father the most since he had abandoned me for 14 years, only to return and seduce my wife. When Michael intervened, I was genuinely considering some risky ideas. After I had a chance to calm down, I returned home to find out what had occurred. Sarah had been ringing my phone, and when she saw me, I could tell she hadn't gotten enough sleep since her eyes were bloodshot. My father emerged from the basement, and I demanded that they tell me when it began, how long it lasted, and why they did it. My father said that it had been going on for a few months because Sarah made him feel youthful again. While he was spewing his nonsense, Sarah was softly weeping, clutching her head and murmuring, "I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me." They dropped a bomb on me when he finished making excuses. Sarah was pregnant, and he was most likely the father. I was seething on the inside and genuinely wanted to destroy them both, but I managed to hold my cool enough to inquire what she planned to do with the child. Sarah wanted to retain the child since our religion, Catholic, frowns on abortion, which made me laugh, so I questioned whether Catholicism frowns on cheating, to which she quietly cried once more. My father said that he wanted her to retain the kid and provide it with an involved father, something he did not do for me. Sarah then brazenly asked if I wanted to assist raise the child, to which I said that she could go herself and that I was seeking a divorce. She begged me not to do it in the name of our faith, and that it was terrible for us to do so. But I was so enraged that I informed her that if she came near me, I would most likely beat her. My father urged me to do it for the sake of our rekindled friendship, and I told him to as well. I'm feeling ill to my stomach. Sarah and my father have been bombing up my phone, pleading for forgiveness and imploring me to rethink everything, but I have placed it on D&D. It hurts so much because the lady I loved more than life cheated on me with my father, with whom I just reunited. I'm honestly torn. Does anybody have any suggestions for me in this situation? Story 2. Me 28 male. With my wife 27 female, duration 9 years, she cheated on me when I was out of town. Background. We've been together for 9 years. They began dating before college and remained exclusive throughout. I returned home after college to help her continue her education. She ended her relationship with me towards the conclusion of her final semester because she was being pursued by another man. She returned 2 months later, pleading for forgiveness and promising that nothing had happened. We moved into an apartment together 6 months later. We were married about a year later. We moved into a home last year, less than a year after marrying, due to the money I received after my grandmother's death. She lost her job 4 months ago and has yet to find another, as far as I know. I was the breadwinner after graduation and throughout her unemployment. I was fortunate to have a job that covered the majority of our costs, including her college debts and new automobile. Current. I was out of state a couple of Thursdays ago for a corporate project. I wasn't supposed to return until the following Thursday. On Wednesday, I was informed that I might go early. I contacted my wife and told her I'd be home soon, but I could see she wasn't herself and didn't seem pleased with the news. She said she hadn't gotten enough sleep. When I arrived home, she seemed fatigued. We rested for a few hours before going to bed, where she demanded or declared that she won. I was in a giving mood after being gone for over a week and did oral before having. Her kisses were all close-mouthed, and she didn't appear to be into things. Nothing out of the ordinary happened the next day when I went to work. She got home after me and immediately went to the shower after returning from a gym lesson. She doesn't smoke, so when I questioned her why she had smokes in her handbag, it appeared to start a topic she was trying to avoid. She admitted to me that she was dissatisfied and had been for some time. She said that she believed we want different things. She said she hadn't missed me while I was gone. Throughout it all, I remained relatively mute and enraged, unable to express my feelings of betrayal. She ended up leaving in tears, and I promptly burst into tears. I contacted my buddies and ended up biking for a few hours to their residence. I was furious and upset when I got home about 11:30 and began searching the house out of suspicion. She'd forgotten about the rings on the dresser. I began poring through her computer. There I discovered a record of almost 80% of what she and the person she slept with had spoken over the preceding 5 days through Facebook conversations. She indicated that when she was working, everything were acceptable, but that her time away from work was the worst of her life. She felt that she wasn't getting to do the things she wanted to do, and she felt trapped and upset at the actions that had led her here. There were also a lot of mails in which she pushed on their meeting. She had spent the whole evening of Wednesday evening emailing the man and had even asked him to my house for supper. The texting lasted until early morning. When she went to his place at 3 a.m., she didn't get home until after 6 p.m. on Wednesday, 2 hours before I did. They had unprotected intercourse and then insisted on having the night I returned home, a time span of around 18 hours. I also learned from these communications that she went to his place after leaving the home on Thursday night. I saved the full Facebook chat to PDF, which ended up being about 70 pages of communications exchanged in 5 days and kept in several locations. She returned home about 1 a.m. on Thursday night/Friday morning. I informed her that I was aware. According to the transcript, she attempted to assure me that she didn't mean for things to happen. She ended up sleeping in the guest bedroom after a long period of furious quiet. I informed my folks on Friday morning. I advised her to go since I was not interested in forgiving her. She went away for a few days, but she has recently returned to the guest room. My parents informed her relatives, who are distraught. Despite everything, her father and I are still on cordial, if odd terms. I have contacted a lawyer. I've also been tested for STD and HIV. Results are still pending. I've shifted what money I can out of joint accounts and into my own. I've been preparing my belongings to live without her once the agreement is completed and she leaves. I'll have to wait a full year after the arrangement is completed before the divorce is official. I haven't spoken anything to her in the weeks after everything broke apart, but we're meeting in person today to talk about it. I'm sure I left something out, but that's the core of it. The only thing I don't know or have plans for is where I'm going from here. I know I'm still young, but I've never been one to go out and meet new people, and I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to dating as an adult.